Hello, everyone. I have a question. All things being equal, I want to mention about certain things that I noticed. And again, all about chance. And is this by chance or by design? Now, there's different types of warfare, and that the enemy is very clever. And as I mentioned earlier in another audio tape, that you have people who might look like you, talk like you, act like you, live with you, but they really don't represent you. They're really not you. They're somebody else. And they're being used to infiltrate groups. Could be any group, but they have their own agenda. And with Hollywood and the first film that was made, and it could have been the first film ever on this planet, and it was a film called Birth of a Nation, villainizing the recently freed slave in the Americas, and then indicating that there are predators against the white woman, even though historically that wasn't the case. It was the opposite. So things were done historically against blacks, especially blacks in North America. I really don't know what's happening in other countries like Brazil. I really don't know. But I was just thinking, all things being equal, whether it's by chance, like that film was not by chance, and that Hollywood is not by chance, and how Hollywood uses it as a weapon. But it's a weapon that it's not so much like, it's sneaky. And it makes you believe certain things so that you would do certain things for an agenda. So it caused me to think. I was just meditating, looking at a candlelight and just talking to the universe. And then I started thinking about this situation. Now I know of someone who he's a black man, a straight black man, comes from a good family, and he used to work in the school system, and he got fired from his job. And it was when the person relayed the story, they were very, had pride in himself, and how he stood his ground, and he made the best out of it, and he had another business, he didn't just have his eggs in one basket. He had another job, and he worked for himself. And then one day, this person and another person, coincidentally, at an event, both men, black men, they brought their white girlfriends out of the blue. I said, wow. I said, okay, so be it. But it happened so quickly. They got married, and a couple of months after their wedding, the white woman gets pregnant. Everything on the surface seemed, positive. And then the other man, the relationship seemed to go so quickly. So I'm wondering, wow, how is that these white women are finding men, good looking, straight, hardworking, decent, middle class, college graduate, and how do they bypass the black woman? Now, after watching this film about Hollywood, it really started having me think, is this just by chance, or is it by design? I'm starting to think that this is by design. It's not by accident, not by chance. How do these women get in such close proximity to black men and not the black female counterpart? Well, for one thing, with this lecture that I saw over the internet about Hollywood, that they are vilifying blacks to not trust other blacks. The black man hates the black woman, the black woman hates the black man, so there's strife. So, if all things having chance, how come all these white women are having access to this black man? How come you don't see the black woman hooking up with these white men? I mean, to actually have a marriage. Now, with these black men, they're usually very successful black men. And the white woman does not have to be anything. She could be from a lower socioeconomic, or she could be middle class. But either way, he's successful. Or like, let's say, the Tiger Woods. Now, he is a mixed race person. And he married someone that is not from either parent's background, basically. Now, so how is it that Tiger Woods was introduced to his future wife by a white man. And she was a nanny from a foreign country. She was pretty, but he couldn't find a successful or pretty woman of color, a mixed race like him. But it was a foreign woman and a nanny. So it just kind of confused me. So would a successful white man marry a black nanny? Let's say she's a pretty black woman who's a nanny. Because in at least New York City, the nanny / babysitter, most of them are from the West Indies that you see, black people. But from, they could be from Africa or the West Indies. I don't know any of them who are dating white men and successful white men, or even poor white men. You don't see it. So is this by chance? Now, if love is blind, and if love is only blind when it's a successful black man, how is it that these white women are hooking up? And why are they hooking up? And why are they having a quick relationship that, within 1 or 2 years they're married? And yet within the black community, that they're not marrying their own. They're not marrying. They're hooked. They might live together, but they're not married. And they might have kids. So how is it that the white woman is able to have that black man marry her so quickly, if all things being equal? So I then ask myself, well, why? Why is this happening? I'm thinking, what happens? What do I notice when you see a black man and a white woman? He looks very passive. He doesn't have that edge on him. I mean, it's just my perspective. I could be wrong, but it's just what I perceive. And he could be hardworking, but they're together. But I don't see that type of comfortableness with a black woman and a black man together in public. It seems like with the black and white unions, it seems to be a passivity with the black. What I mean by passivity, that I think it's they get a false sense of security because they're involved with a white person. And so you don't feel the war is on you. Is there a war against you? Or is it a silent war? A war that's really going on and it's causing you a passivity to think that everything is copacetic and that the war is not against you. Notice what happens with the children from this offspring. That there might be mellow, a racial identity challenge. Do they learn about their black history? What happens in a household like that? Well, what could happen is that you don't fight against the white establishment, possibly. If the woman who raised you is a white woman, why would you think that she's an enemy? So there's a passivity in that next generation. And I think this could be a tool against the Black family. That you no longer want to fight the white man, so to speak, because you're raised by that white woman. And when you see her face, you think, okay, they're harmless. This person raised me and they fed me, they clothed me, they treat me nicely. How could white people be an enemy? So they lose that edge. Just like as I see in New York City, that edge that Black man had, he seems quiet. I don't want to say cockhold, but that edge doesn't exist. It's like everything's all right. So I think this is a tool that's being used, a modern warfare. And again, all things being equal, so you have a Black man and a white woman hooking up quickly and marrying, and what happens? But again, as I mentioned, why is it that white men aren't having this same type of love affair for the Black woman? Well, one thing, in a Black woman, white man, who's feeding those kids? A Black woman. So perhaps their identity would be based on who's raising them, a Black woman, who's cooking their food. So again, that Black culture is being taught by the Black woman. And so that doesn't work as effectively as having a white mother and a Black father. So that could be part of it too. So it seems like there's a plan. And when I saw those two people that I mentioned in the beginning of this audio, that was possibly happening, and happening at that time, just coincidentally, they both come in and they both bring in their white girlfriends. But they had sisters, the Black men, but none of the Black girls had a white boyfriend. None of them. And their sisters married Black American men. So it was really telling that all things are unequal. And it's not all equal chances, because it's not about chance. It's about design. So this seems to be the new weapon in America. Years ago, I wouldn't have even thought about this. But I see that the more you learn about human nature and politics and things that are going on stealth, that it opens your eyes to what could be going on. It's not by chance. Also, in these relationships, that you could be monitored. That you have people who could influence let's say your religion, how you practice your religion, what you taught in school, who teaches you in school, usually white women. So it's really something that how the politics and how control is made. So they teach you what to think and what you learn in the educational system. You're taught by movies, things you see on television. And then you're living in a life, and so all this media and stuff is influencing who you want to meet or talk to. It's not by accident that they're not marrying you. It's not by accident, black women. And it's not by accident that they're marrying white women. And it's not by accident that black women aren't, in general, marrying white men. If love is blind and opportunities are opportunities, and there's more black women working in offices than black men alongside white men. But again, you don't see it. Not that much. Not that much. And both of these men that I'm referring to, they're not working in a very large establishment. They're not working alongside white women per se. But somehow they're meeting each other. So you see that even the chances of them, of a black man and a white woman to meet, but it's not even happening, the statistics of opportunity, and not statistics, but opportunity. Black women are in contact with white men because they could use women in secretarial, things like that, office work. So it's not by chance, because the black woman is in more contact with white men, more than the black man in contact with the white woman. This is just food for thought, that this warfare is really becoming very stealth, but it is just as dangerous as a gun. This is a new weapon, and it's here to destroy us from inside. Again, you should marry who you want to marry, and really find out where this person is coming from, and really finding out who they really represent. Who are these women who are willing to go through this, to marry outside their cultural, racial grouping? What do they get out of it? What do they really get out of this?